Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to another episode of Film Chums. Joining me is my co-host, Sora Star.
Hi.
So in this podcast, we're going to be talking about the Homeward Bound films. Sora, have you seen these films before?
No, but I feel like I remember seeing trailers to the movie because the title sounds when you first pitched the movie to me, it sounded really familiar, but I knew I hadn't seen it. But somewhere in the deep recesses of my mind, I could conjure up this movie somehow.
Yeah, I do feel like the trailers for these films played a lot during Disney VHS tapes.
Yeah.
So that's probably where a lot of my nostalgia comes from. Because I'm kind of the same. Well, I remember them being on TV a lot, but I just don't remember the actual films. So this is probably the first time I've actually paid attention to them all the way through. Technically, Homeward Bound, the first Homeward Bound, is it's technically a remake of another Disney film called Incredible Journey, which I've not seen. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't even heard of it.
No, I didn't know that Homeward Bound was a remake, and it's kind of weird looking at like pictures or posters of the Incredible Journey and being like, oh, it's just Homeward Bound, but like slightly different breeds and in the 70s.
Yeah, because I was a bit confused when I went to try and find it, because I think that movie also came up.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about the first film. Chance is an immature American bulldog who has been adopted by a family and belongs to their youngest child, Jamie. There's also Shadow the golden retriever, who belongs to Peter, and Sassy the Himalayan cat, owned by Hope. When the family's mother, Laura, marries a man called Bob, everyone has to temporarily live in San Francisco, while the pets are left at a ranch. The pets don't know what's happening to them and fear that their owners will never come back for them, so they decide to go on a journey home. So what did you think of the first Homeward Bound?
I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I was kind of expecting like their mouths to move or something like that, and then they just never, and I'm like, right, so can the humans hear them? The answer is no, so I'm like, they must be talking telepathically or something, but they're not, because they can also bark and meow and stuff, and then like, it was weird at first, but like, I kind of just I was like, right, okay, I'm just accepting that this is the movie. This is what they've decided to do, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna complain. I'm just gonna watch it, let it play, and I got used to it, especially by the time the second movie came around, and I'm like, right, we're doing this again, and like at first it's weird, but you kind of get used to it, and it's like, right, this is fine. The actual story, I don't even know, like, what was even happening with their family moving.
They'd just gotten married.
Yeah.
Two families just got married, and they were still staying in the same place, but they had the actual family had to go to San Francisco for a little bit because of the dad's job, and then come back.
Yeah, so like it's all a bit contrived, but I was still like, this is a kids movie, so. What's a little...
Yeah, I will agree that, like, the way that they try to explain, okay, these animals are going to run away from home, there's a lot explained. Like, the pets are going to be left at this ranch, but the ranch owner leaves for a bit and puts this guy called Frank in charge. Frank assumes that the pets have gone with the ranch owner and doesn't realise that they've ran away. There's a lot of building blocks to get to the point where it's like pets run from home.
Yeah, like if you miss something, you can kind of get lost. Like, it's really easy to get lost in this movie, I feel.
Really? Well, I'd say this one was at least a lot more watchable and entertaining compared to the sequel. I had a lot more fun compared to the sequel, and I felt like this was it had a stronger script as well. The film did remind me of a lot of other films.
Yeah.
It's not the most remarkable in terms of storytelling. Like, it shares a lot in common with other 80s and 90s family films about characters being lost and trying to get back home. Saying that, though, at least Homeward Bound is resembling or borrowing things from those movies that are inherently good. And, like, that's fine, because sometimes ideas work, sometimes cliches work. I say that as a screenwriter myself. You go for, like, a million different ideas, and sometimes you settle on the ones that have been done before because they work.
Yeah, I don't mind that too much. There's some parts that were, they kind of just went nowhere. Like, the one I can think of is where once they're lost, they're in the forest and it's nighttime, it's all creepy and spooky, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then it just time skips to the next day.
It's very much like a series of what kinds of dangers could be in the forest. That's pretty much the story. It's like what kinds of things can they come across in the forest. And I think maybe the draw of the film has to be the actual characters and their dynamic more than what they get up to in the forest.
Yeah.
It's more about their relationship and what they're like as a pet family. And I did appreciate that each of these pets had different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And they were each from different generations as well.
I appreciated the dynamics. I thought they were really cute.
They could have just put like some really broad tropes in a bunch into the forest and just have at it. But like these are real. You've got like the youthful new dog with abandonment issues. You've got the wise old mentor, and you've got a stuck up cat, and like you put those three together, and something happens. It feels like that like those character types bounce off each other really well.
Well, thank you, Shadow. It's been simply a divine vacation, but I think I'll just stay here and wait for the bus.
Okay.
Hey, where you going? Where's he going?
Shadow?
I told you, I'm going home.
Yeah, and like I could believe them. I'd say like the only like for me like I don't really know much about like dogs and the different breeds. So like the main one that they chose to be like the main dog, they kept on saying, oh yeah, he's a puppy, but to me he don't look like puppy at all.
No.
So I feel like they could have probably went with a different type of dog that seems younger.
Maybe, but at the same time, the dog they did pick was quite energetic.
Oh yeah.
Out of the three, he was quite bouncy.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean. If they wanted to go for like the youthful kind of character, but I think his naivete mainly comes from the fact that this is the first time he's been domesticated. That's why he seems new to everything.
Right.
I think that's what they were kind of going for.
They want to serve that on the floor, I think. Yeah, down here on the floor. Get him an alfresco thing. I know what it'll do. I'll give him the look.
I like that at the beginning of the film, these pets just seem stuck with each other.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, oh, right, okay, we're a family, fine. But as the film goes along, they start to think, okay, we've got to actually work together to survive in this forest, and like the progression of their bonding was done pretty decently, I think.
Yeah.
And like I did kind of, I'm kind of a sucker for this this though, but like I like when we think that Sassy has died.
Oh.
And yeah, it's sad, but like I like when we think Sassy's died, and Chance is like trying to blow off like, oh no, I don't miss her, ooh, and things like I like that kind of. I like when characters like pretend they don't care when they really do. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that like the acting is kind of hit and miss, especially like with the family and like the human-y characters. Like there's this one part where the rangers find the dogs and that, and then the way that the ranger says, oh, we found them, these are the ones that were on the wanted poster, just it was really bizarre watching that interaction.
Mark, get over here! Look at this! Mark, these are the animals that were on the flyer we got!
I can't believe it.
These are them!
Yeah, I guess, but that's just 90s Disney movie acting for you. I expected the human actors to be that cheesy or hammy, so it didn't really bother me.
I thought that the way the animals reacted and like what they were supposed to be doing, I thought that was really well done, and I'm like, how did they do that? How did they get them to do that?
Even though I might like complain about some things in these films, one of the things that I'll definitely stand by is that these animals are really well trained.
Yeah.
I've not seen animal acting this good since the 101 Dalmatians live action films. Like it's you never get the impression like, oh, they had to do that shot because they couldn't get the animal to do that. Oh, they have to green screen that bit. They have to CGI that bit. There have been claims of animal cruelty on set, but I can't 100% confirm that this is a fact. Accusations were made, but nothing was really found. Some shots do look pretty dangerous for the animal actors, but I've also seen fans explain how those effects were made It's hard to really know unless I did more digging. You were saying early on about how weird it is that the animals don't talk, and like I'm mixed on that, because on the one hand, I don't like it when they make animals move their mouths with CGI. It just creeps me out too much. It's a bit too uncanny valley. But at the same time, it is weird hearing really expressive voice actors against these animals that like got complete blank expressions. But that's a me thing. I've just never really liked that.
And there was some parts where I thought, did this movie even need like animal narration? You know what I mean? Did they even need voiceovers? Because some of these, especially in the second movie, I thought like a lot of the things that went on were so clear that I thought maybe it wouldn't even need narration.
Well, that definitely brings me on to probably my biggest complaint about these films, is the characters won't shut the hell up. It reminds me, and I know this probably sounds harsh, but it reminds me of when me and my brother would put the TV on mute and just dub over what we saw ourselves. It sounds because the rhythm is so constant, because they're constantly saying something, it makes it sound like the actors are like having to say something constantly to keep to like fill things in. And I don't like it. It's very insulting. It's very insulting to kids, because it's almost like Disney were like, we can't have any quiet because the kids will get bored any second. But it just ends up making most of the characters kind of annoying at times. And there's so much dialogue where it's like, you could have cut that out. They didn't need to say that, and you could have actually felt the atmosphere. If they shut up at some point. Wouldn't it have been really interesting if in the spooky forest nighttime scene where they didn't say anything, you just saw their reactions to all the things happening in the forest. Just things like that. Just calm down, Disney.
Can't believe what they want me to do. Just so they can have the pleasure of my company.
She just doesn't want to get wet, you know. She can swim. She can.
She won't. 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 Ah, this is more like it. I'm so clever, I amaze myself.
We were talking about the dynamics between the characters. I think one of my favorite dynamics in the film has to be the relationship between Chance and Shadow. I really like how Chance looks up to Shadow. And at first Chance is like, oh, it's the man. Oh, he's he's being too strict. But then as Chance starts to see Shadow's like maturity and survival skills, he's like, whoa, this guy's pretty damn cool. I like that. That was a cool kind of dynamic.
Don't move a muscle.
I won't.
And don't yell.
Okay.
Wait till I say go.
Say what?
Go.
Yeah.
No!
Yeah, you can tell that they all really love each other, even, and it's kind of like a sibling kind of like family dynamic where you're like, oh man, I can't stand these people, but you wouldn't be without them.
And it goes back to my point about how they're different generations, because it's almost like you've got Shadow being the grandpa, Sassy being like the sassy aunt, and then you've got little Chance. Yeah, it's a little family dynamic going off that I really liked. And I liked that in the finale becomes like a test to their bonding throughout the film.
Yeah.
Like how well they will stick together after Shadow falls down a flooring into some mud. Like that moment makes you really go like, okay, will they get to the end? Can they work together?
Come on. If you can jump in a river to save me, this should be easy.
Yeah, that's right. And after outrunning a mountain lion, come on.
Come on, Shadow.
That was really distressing when you couldn't make her up the hill and you're like, come on, you can do it.
Yeah, they really dragged that moment out. It was really like, just like, through the mud, can he get up? And just like, no, he can't. Yes, he can.
It was so upsetting seeing him just like laying in the mud. I was like,
He looked genuinely sad.
I know.
Yeah. I think my only problem when it came to like wrapping things up was I wish that Chance had actually matured throughout the film, Because at the beginning they set up that he's
yeah.
badly behaved and not exactly house trained, but they don't really do anything with that setup, and he just carries on back to normal at the film's end. Like, everyone goes into the house and you just hear Chance going, "Ooh, turkey!" And it's like the same thing he was doing at the beginning of the film.
Turkey! Turkey, 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 turkey.
I wouldn't mind this if they didn't set up early on,
Yeah.
this is Chance's character flaw. Don't mislead us into thinking we're going to explore this or this is going to be relevant or not. It's like,
Yeah, because it would have been nice to see him, like, mature throughout the movie and, like, learn lessons about himself.
Regarding humans, though, I do appreciate that the tension comes from this level of misunderstanding, and there's a charm to the animals not getting why humans are doing certain things. It sort of reminds me of Rugrats. It's got that kind of Rugrats feel, like where the animals are like, what's the humans doing? And the animals have their own interpretation of that. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, where's she going?
Okay, you guys, I'll be back in a couple of days.
A car ride! We're going on a car ride! Let's go! All right!
No, sorry, boy. Not this time. You stay here and be good.
You really do feel the frustrations that the kids are feeling, missing their pets throughout the film.
Yeah.
I feel like something that was done so much better in this film compared to the sequel. Like, they really do seem... They really do seem distraught, and it plays with your emotions to actually see them get their hopes up at one scene, only to be drastically disappointed. I was like, I felt that.
Because, like, I feel like in the first movie, like, they're really yearning and pining, and you can feel it, but in the second movie, it's more like, oh, man, not again.
We'll definitely get into that. but yeah, humans, the other thing I liked about the humans is that there were no, like, generic villains.
That's what I liked as well.
There was no actual villain. There was no baddie. There was no poacher. There was no hunter. Like, you expect that in this kind of film, but, like, you didn't go that route. And this film is very generous about its depiction of humans. Like, every human in this film is lovely.
Yeah. That's something. That's something I thought as well, because, like, obviously nowadays, like, the whole no villain thing is kind of... It's expected now, but back then, you're right, it would have been like a poacher, or like the ranch person that they lived with would have been really abusive and horrible, but they were just they weren't, and there was no like villain. Like, yeah, there was a mountain lion in like the forest and that, but that
was just the forest being the forest.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was just obstacles more than villains.
Yeah, because when they were at the ranch, I was fully expecting the people looking after them to just be really awful. I
mean, like, you got that cabin guy right at the beginning of the rescue Sassy. Like, he's so damn sweet.
Yeah.
He's just so sweet. And I liked that after he'd taken care of Sassy and Sassy was ready to go, he just let her go. He didn't go like, "Oh no, you're staying with me." It was just like, "Bye, look after yourself."
He was nice.
Everyone was just so nice. I also like that. Yeah, these are nice characters, but they've also got jobs to do. So for example, you had when Peter went to see the police. The police are very realistic about their priorities, but they don't just blow him off and say like, I don't care, but they actually give him suggestions saying like that you should make wanted posters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was nice to show like that like the police could be helpful.
Yeah.
But also not like romanticizing how good the police could be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The closest we get to a human villain is the dog shelter guard, but again, he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
It's refreshing. It's refreshing. What did you think of the whole stepfather drama aspect?
Right. Well, I didn't even register any of that because I thought it was the lady marrying into the family.
I kind of like the little details because, like, there's a part where Peter is talking to the police about like who his parents are.
Yeah.
And he almost says my stepdad, but then he corrects himself as my mum's husband. So it's almost like he's still on the fence about how he feels about his stepdad. Like that was interesting. It was interesting seeing them. I added a bit to how he felt It got across how he felt about his stepdad without him directly saying, I feel confused about having a new dad. I like little things like
Yeah,
that.
subtle.
Yeah. And I like that Bob wants to be a genuinely good stepdad. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not your cliche, mean step-parent you get in nearly every kid's film. He wants to love these kids. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, the only reason he's not like going like above and beyond for the pets is because he's got a job. He's got a job and he's got to raise this family. He can't really do too much. But then when he sees, oh wow, my kids love these animals, and like I love these kids. I want to show my love. I want to show my appreciation. I want to show that I understand how important these animals do. And he starts going the extra length. He starts putting up posters, and you can tell he really is sincerely like concerned about the animals. And it definitely teaches Peter like, oh, my stepdad does care about animals, and in return cares about me. And like
that is nice. And I remembered the part where he does. I can't remember if it was the first or the second movie, but he was talking to the kids and he was like, we have to be realistic. And like me as a viewer was like, oh, but you can tell that he didn't mean it in a like, I don't care about your pets, be realistic. It was a kind of like, he was trying to gently break it to them that not everything works out all the time.
Which is a part of parenting. Sometimes you have to be kind of heavy, and you have to be kind of honest and say like, look, these are the facts. You don't want to mislead kids.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like pets. You've got to be very upfront about these kinds of things. And I genuinely went. I really awed at the part where the stepdaughter randomly calls the stepdad daddy. Aww. And you can see the look in his face. He's like, oh, and then he looks at Peter and like Peter's like, dad. And it's like, oh. It's cheesy, but it's cute, and it's earned it. By that point, it's earned it because you've seen the step family come closer because of the rescue mission. Mm-hmm. The one more thing I would say about this film is that it has really beautiful landscapes.
Yeah, they were all a bit sometimes they were a bit cloudy though. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but I think it's just because of the camera and technology. Possibly,
but like it was just nice to see those kind of backdrops, especially as we're Brits, we don't get those kind of landscapes, and it was nice to see those kinds of environments.
Yeah, and
in the film, and
they weren't afraid to just show you them.
Well, yeah, it's important to show those kinds of shots because it builds the world. It lets the audience know this is where they're lost. Look how big it is.
Yeah.
But also look how beautiful it is. Look how dangerous it is. But look how pretty it is too. Like, yeah, it's a good way of building the world, and it's cool. I like that. Anything else you want to say about this one?
Nope.
In conclusion, from my end, I thought this was okay. While the film isn't anything special, isn't anything remarkable, doesn't really break any ground or anything, it's just a nice film, and I can imagine kids watching it on like the Disney Channel afternoon or something, and like it's sticking with them, and like these particular scenes being with them to this day. Like I get it. I get why kids would like it. It's cute. It's nice. I can imagine also being a nice family film, a nice family get-together film. It's got that feel to it.
Yeah, it's probably something that like if I had it on VHS as a kid, I probably would have watched it like. Maybe like once a month or something like that, like just every other month maybe, like because it's just like cute and nice and it has dogs and that, and it's just I wouldn't like. I probably will never watch it again for the entirety of the rest of my life, and I'm at peace with that. But yeah, it's okay.
Moving on to the sequel though.
I feel like you've got a lot to say about this sequel.
In this film, Chance is still being a misbehaving dog, plus also feels neglected by Jamie. When the Seaver Burnford family go on vacation to Canada, they decide to bring their pets along, but Shadow, Chance and Sassy misunderstand the situation, so they choose to escape their cages and end up lost in San Francisco. While struggling to get home, they meet a gang of street dogs led by Riley, who despises humans. One member of Riley's gang, Delilah, falls for Chance, and the two become a romantic couple. Meanwhile, a pair of dog nappers are out to steal dogs, so that they can sell them to a laboratory.
On you go.
I don't even know where to begin. Like,
did they keep the same voice
was,
actors?
Yes, they did. They kept the exact same voice cast, and they
They
also
didn't
introduced some
sound
other
the same.
voice actors. I don't know. It had only been like a couple of years, but it was the same. It was the same people,
Wow.
definitely the same people. The thing is that this movie made me go, "Wow, the first film is actually pretty good in comparison." And like I wasn't before I saw the sequel. I wasn't that passionate about the first film.
Yeah.
And then I saw the sequel, and I was like, "Wow, I will defend the first film heavily now."
Yeah, like going into the second movie, I kind of thought, right, it's probably just gonna be more of the same, and on some level, it kind of was, but then
it kind of is, but
it had that like, is this Lady and the Tramp 2? But then I thought it can't be.
I knew you'd say that
because this one was made first. So I thought, is Lady and the Tramp 2 this?
No, it's not. It's not. But I know what you mean. This film is basically, what if Lady and the Tramp 2, which is already not a great film, what if it was really boring?
Yeah.
But like, it's so insulting to the first film because like, I really loved the ending to the first film and how like you felt like all these characters had everyone had become closer. That was the thing I mainly got from the end of the first film, is like everyone had gotten closer. And right away in the second film, it's like everyone is so antagonistic to each other. It's like it just reset everyone's relationships, and everything that went through the first film didn't happen. It's like they have all this history, have all this character development, and goes down the toilet.
Jeez, take a hint already.
Huh? What do you mean, take a hint?
Jamie's gonna send you back to the bad place. I'll miss you. Bye-bye.
That's something I really, really hate about sequels, because they kept doing that in High School Musical. Like, Sharpay would just reset to being horrible again, and they do that with this movie, and it's really irritating. I hate it when sequels do that.
And it also ends up, like, exaggerating the problems I had with the first film. Namely how there's too much talking, and now we've got like more characters and more voice actors, so there's more talking, and it's like, everyone quiet down. Just yap.
I mean, I feel like they upped, I don't know, like obviously the forest was already like dangerous and it was fine, but now they've got like buildings on fire and like car crashes.
When it happens, you have to wait a while. Well, that's the thing. This film is so dull that when I saw the villain throw his cigar at a house and set on fire, I was like, oh, something's happening, finally. I was actually enjoying that this family's house is on fire just because I was so bored. I know that's evil, but like I was that desperate for something to happen because this film is so aimless. And it's constantly distracted from itself. And always trying to find an excuse to like not go forward with things in any way at all. and like I get that Chance feels like Jamie is too busy for anymore, but like I don't buy that he'd leave Jamie for the streets.
Yeah, especially because of the character development in the first movie. It's like, I think the sequel wants you to just forget the first movie happened.
I also don't think that he'll part ways with Shadow and Sassy.
Absolutely not.
That goes against the ending of the first film. The whole point of the ending of the first film was like they were together and they were going to stick together. Yeah. I did not buy he was like, right, I'm leaving Shadow and Sassy and I'm going to be with this random street dog I met. Great.
I know. It's just out of character. It doesn't make sense.
Like the romance is probably the worst thing about this film. Because, like, from the get-go, it wasn't going to really work with the way that they were, like, doing the story.
Okay.
Doing the whole talking dog effects. Yeah. They're not going to have chemistry because they're just, like, got blank expressions and staring at each other. Yeah. So you're not going to see any... You can train animals to look like they're in love with each other, but, like, there's only so much you can do. So, that's like, true. It was very empty. Yeah.
I didn't really mind the romance because, I mean, I'm just like, whatever. Because, like, obviously, I was like, I had it in my head so much, this is basically just Lady and the Tramp 2. So, like, once I had that thought, like, nothing else really mattered, I guess. And then they just kept on doing what that movie did. So I was just kind of like, right, so... And I even forgot their names. I was like, that's Angel and that's Scamp, you know?
Well, I'm probably going to go even further and say that this film made me appreciate Lady and the Tramp 2, a film that I really don't even like.
Yeah.
I actually made me go like, oh, wait, yeah, at least Lady and the Tramp 2 give their characters personality and tension and something. With this one, you have like Riley, the leader of this street gang, and he's very kind of like, I don't know what the word is. It's not passive. He's just kind of like slightly annoyed at humans. Like, oh, humans. Oh, you like humans? Oh, it's like, what? Okay. So where's the tension? It doesn't feel like it's gonna like affect much because he's just a little miffed.
They want you, pet. Those humans will snatch any dog off the street. And once they take you, you never come back.
Did we get a reason why he didn't like humans?
Yes, we got a flashback scene. We got a scene where, when he was a puppy, he was given as a present to a kid, and the kid didn't appreciate him, so the family decided to abandon him. Which is, that's an understandable motive to hate humans. But like, I really wish that they leaned more into how much he hated humans, because he just seemed like fed up of humans more than like aggressively hateful towards humans.
Yeah, I couldn't stay focused on this movie. It just kind of like passed me by while I was staring at the screen. I'm like, what?
I was glazed over, yeah.
Yeah, glazed over. That's a good one. Basically that.
Yeah. Going back to the romance, were you weirded out how forward Delilah was as soon as they met each other?
Kinda.
It was like... She was like, look you, but let me lick you!
Yeah.
I get they're dogs and they're easily excitable, but it was just weird having human voices act like that.
Yeah. It was really bizarre.
It was a bit much. It was a bit much. She was a bit too forward. But more importantly, I just didn't buy the chances fall in love with her to the point where he would leave his entire family.
Yeah. How long did they know each other for in the whole movie?
Like half a day, maybe.
Yeah, because then he's so depressed at the end, and he's like, I can't do anything anymore. I don't want to go on walks. I don't want to catch frisbees. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to play with my kid because that dog that I met for a day and a half, like, last week, she's just not here. And then you see her, and he's like, I love you so much. And she's like, I love you too. And you're kind of like...
What do they love about each other, though? The only thing they share with each other is like, I was told not to like humans. I'm a pet. That was their relationship. That was their entire relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting like the deepest love story ever told, because come on, it's a kids talking dog film. But like, at least something. I mean, like, come on, let them bond over more than like their little differences and the fact that they're experiencing San Francisco together. Show something else besides that. Have them sharing more intimate personal things together.
So, Chance, what do you think?
You know, I think this is quite possibly the most absolutely greatest day of my life.
See, aren't you glad I caught you?
Oh, what did you think of the other junkyard dogs' personalities?
Really, really one note.
Yeah.
Really one note. Like, they all just had one trait, every single one of them, and like, I didn't have a favorite, but at the same time, I also just didn't mind, didn't care. They were just there.
Yeah, they could have probably just made it like one other dog.
Yeah, and like there was one dog I disliked, the really creepy stalkerish one that was always like, Delilah's mine. Which definitely brings me on to like one of the things I disliked the most was right towards the end of the film, Delilah wants to convince Chance to go home. And they could have just had this mature discussion saying like, look, we're from two different worlds. Mm-hmm. You belong to your family. You should go back to your family, okay? Mm-hmm. This is going to be hard for us, but you can get through this. I'm going to have a hard time too, but I'll get through it too. That's all they had to do. But no! She pretends to be in love with the creepy stalkerish dog right in front of him. And it's like, they frame it as like some kind of brave sacrifice on her end. It's like, no, it's cruel. It's really cruel to do that right in front of him. And there was, at that point, I was like, look, before I just found you dull, but now I just find you kind of like a horrible person.
Yeah, like toxic. What's that teaching kids?
But another thing about the romance is that I don't like how the romance separates Chance from Shadow and Sassy from like a majority of the film.
Yeah.
Because their friendship is like the draw of both of these movies. It's why you watch these films.
Yeah, because you wanna know what happens to them in a sequel, and then their dynamics aren't even explored any further.
No, it's just like Sassy and Shadow are just walking around, and Chance is hitting on Delilah.
Yeah.
So like, no, it doesn't. You don't really get that. It's not really tied to. No. I wanted more scenes of the three of them together, but it's the romance. The romance ruins this film. It really does. They didn't need to be a romance either. There was no necessity for it.
Yeah, it's too focused on.
Yeah, it's a lot of sequels do that. They'll think like, okay, why do we take things from here? I know one of the characters will end up with a love interest, and it splits them up. Great.
Yeah.
What do you think of the villains?
I think that because the first one did so well without villains, they seemed a bit more caricature-y in this one.
Very.
Because all the humans in the first movie were really nice, but all the humans in the sequel were like terrible and are out to get them, and it's everything the dogs feared. Whereas in the first movie, you felt like their fear was a little bit irrational because all the humans are so nice. But in the second movie, you're like, their fears are kind of like validated because all the humans in this movie are awful and terrible, and they do want to catch them and whatnot.
It's missing that charm. And like, I have so many problems with the villains for this. If I'm honest, like the dogs hype up the villain's vehicle as like the blood red van.
Yeah.
And when you say something like that, you think like, who's driving that van? It's just two bumbling idiots who are probably the worst dog nappers you'll ever see. And I'm like, they've got all these dogs in the back, and I'm like, how are they catching them?
Yeah.
How the hell are they catching them? Because the way that they catch them, it's like you have this one scene where a dog napper attempts to steal this poodle in broad daylight.
Yeah.
From windows eye view of the dog's owner, and he gets caught. He's like, oh no, you go, I'll put it back. Here you go. That's our villain. That's our threats. Really?
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a villain, at least go lean into like how scary they are.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I realized like how rubbish they are at dog napping, that was it. I didn't feel like they were gonna get caught.
Yeah.
And that definitely brings me on to something else that annoyed me. Right?
Okay. Here we go.
Right. So they're really dumb, right?
Yeah.
And in the finale, they have to dumb Chance down in order for the dog nappers to catch him. And Chance is supposed to be this dog that grew up on the streets. He's meant to be like street savvy. He's meant to realize, okay, he's probably growing up. He probably encountered loads of different like poachers and catchers and nappers and whatever. And he was always like, oh, that's what they are, right? I better do this. And this one was like, the dog nappers offer him a burger. He's like, oh, burger. They had to like pretend that he was never a street dog in the first place in order for him to like be in some kind of peril. And then the other characters, after they defeat the dog nappers, they're like, oh, you know what, you're not made for the streets, mate. Because you pretended that he wasn't, just so you could force some tension.
Honestly, this movie wants you to forget the first movie.
It does. It really it wants to skim over so many details and so many facts that like
they should have just made a new movie.
I think we were talking about this earlier, but like the human family, they seem way less interested in finding their pets compared to the first movie. Like that sense of urgency isn't there this time.
Yeah.
It's missing that determination, that strong incentive.
They're like, oh no, they're missing again. And then the way that they escaped from the cages in the airport, I was like, come on. Come on now. Let's be honest. And then the cat is just like, oh yeah, I could just get out. No problem.
Yeah.
And then the humans are like, oh no, we lost them again when they land, and they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll find them. And that's just kind of it.
Yeah, we sometimes go back to them, and they're like, Let me call the phone. Oh, not found him there? Alright. Guys, not found him yet.
Okay.
Oh. And then randomly Jamie's like, actually, no, I miss Chance now. And that's his lesson. that's his arc. He just randomly says like, oh, actually, I feel bad now. I miss them. It's just, everyone just seems bored to have lost their pets in this film. And they're just cycling through the emotions.
Like in the first movie, when the pets find their owners, it's like really cute because they were looking after that girl, and then they hear humans and they're like, "Oh, I'll go and get them," so because it might be this girl's owner. But then it just like they just like happen to have the ranger that like knew the posters. But then in the second movie, they're just kind of meandering.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, it's just there.
And then their family just happens to be behind the truck that swerves. And I genuinely thought that it hit that dog. I was like, this was like the one part in the movie I was on the edge of my seat, like, did it die? And then it was really cute how he was like hiding under the car. I was like, oh, and like that was it.
Well, going back to the whole like Jamie learning to appreciate his dog, I just remembered something that like I did not like how they handled that arc, because much like the first film, it opens up with look how badly behaved Chance is. And like the lesson is not, okay, Chance, you need to start behaving more because it's not fair on your owners, especially Jamie. But the lesson is, Jamie, you've got to appreciate your dog more. You mean the dog that like embarrassed him in public and ate his shoe? Come on, it shouldn't be. The lesson shouldn't be for Jamie. Jamie was just being a kid.
Yeah.
Who was getting a little annoyed at his dog, and like the lesson should have been for Chance to mature, and it could have compensated for like how in the last film he didn't mature.
Yeah. And then at the end of the second movie, I feel like he's even more immature because now he has a girlfriend that I feel like it's not gonna last because what's her face seems kind of mature.
Yeah, and like right. The end of this film is basically Chance eating the pizza that the family ordered. Which is basically the same problem that they had with him in the first film, where he was eating the wedding cake. It's like, Chance has not changed. Yeah. Chance has not developed whatsoever. No. And, like, there was a lot of room for these films to be about Chance growing.
Yeah.
And, like, they never... They address it. They say, look, ooh, Chance bad.
Yeah.
Chance bad, the end.
It's bad. You're right. It is a bad ending. But they frame it like... Wow, happy family.
But yeah, in conclusion, this is not one of the worst films I've ever seen, but like it's very insulting to the first film, and it's definitely a downgrade from the first film, and overall it's just boring and forgettable and just average, and there's a lot of frustrating things in there, but like I've gotten more annoyed at other films.
Yeah, I mean, a lot happened in this movie that we didn't even talk about, like that fire, but like who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just at least, well, the thing is that the first film was a bunch of set pieces, but you at least felt like it was going forward. You felt like we were progressing.
Yeah.
And like the set pieces were connecting in a way where it's like, oh, well, at least they're getting closer and closer to the home. But with this one, it was just set piece. I guess set piece. And like it's just so disjointed because of that.
Yeah, it's just stuff happens, not interesting stuff, but just stuff.
So what did you think of the Homeward Bound movies? Let us know in the comment section below. I've been Jambareeqi.
And Sora Star.
Cheerio, folks.
Bye.